Ever seen a customer lose their mind so completely they dump an entire cart of groceries in the aisle, screaming like the world owes them? That's exactly what happened at my store last week, and you won't believe how it ended. I'm Mark, the assistant manager at Sunnyvale Market, and I've seen my fair share of retail chaos in my 20 years on the job. But this was next-level madness, the kind that makes you question humanity and cheer for justice all at once. Stick with me, because this story's got it all. Entitlement, a shattered jar of marinara, and a community that wouldn't let one bad apple spoil the bunch. Let's set the scene. It was a Saturday afternoon, the kind of day where Sunnyvale Market feels like the center of the universe for our little American town. Carts clanged through the aisles, loaded with everything from cereal to ribeye steaks. Checkout scanners beeped like a chorus of impatient crickets, and the air carried the warm, yeasty scent of fresh bread from our bakery. Kids whined for candy, parents haggled over coupons, and my team hustled to keep the chaos under control. It's the kind of organized madness I've learned to love. After 2 decades in retail, I pride myself on keeping this place running like a well-oiled machine, supporting my crew and making sure every customer leaves happy, or at least not furious. I was restocking shelves in aisle 7, surrounded by cans of soup and boxes of pasta, when I caught sight of trouble brewing at register 3. Lisa, one of our best cashiers, was scanning items with her usual smile, but her shoulders tensed as the customer in front of her started gesturing wildly. Lisa's 22, diligent, and the kind of worker who shows up early and stays late. She's still learning the ropes, but her heart's in the right place, and I respect that. She's the kind of employee you want on your team, friendly, hardworking, and quick to apologize even when it's not her fault. But right then, she looked like a deer caught in headlights, and I knew something was about to go down. The woman at her register was in her mid-40s, blonde bob bouncing as she waved a stack of coupons like they were a winning lottery ticket. She had yoga pants, a pristine white tank top, and designer sunglasses perched on her head like a crown. Her cart overflowed with groceries, frozen pizzas, organic kale, a tower of sparkling water cans. But it was the way she glared at Lisa like she owned the place that set off my manager instincts. I've seen that look before. It's the look of someone who's about to make your day a whole lot harder than it needs to be. Now, let me back up and explain what sparked this storm. Our store had just rolled out a new policy: 1 coupon per transaction, no exceptions. It was posted in big, bold letters at every checkout, and we'd been announcing it over the intercom for days. Most customers grumbled but got it. Split your purchase into 2 transactions, use 2 coupons, no big deal. It's a minor inconvenience, sure, but it keeps things fair and stops folks from gaming the system with stacks of expired coupons. We'd had a few raised eyebrows and some muttering, but nothing major. Until today. Until her. As I straightened a row of tomato sauce cans, I kept one ear on Lisa's register. I heard her voice, polite but firm, explaining the policy. "Mom, I can apply 1 coupon now, or we can do separate transactions for the others. Would you like me to split it?" That's Lisa, always trying to help. But the woman's response was sharp, cutting through the store's hum like a knife. "This is ridiculous! You're scamming me!" Heads turned. Shoppers in nearby aisles paused, sensing drama. I set down a can of minestrone and started toward the register, my gut telling me this wasn't going to end with a smile and a "have a nice day." I've dealt with angry customers before, folks upset about out-of-stock items, long lines, or prices they swear were lower last week. It comes with the territory. But there's a difference between frustration and whatever this woman was about to unleash. Her voice was already climbing, loud enough to echo off the fluorescent lights. Other cashiers glanced over, and a guy pushing a cart full of diapers slowed down to watch. This wasn't just a complaint. This was a performance, and we were all about to get front row seats. Before I dive into what happened next, let me hit you with a few questions to keep you engaged. Have you ever witnessed a meltdown like this in a store? Drop your story in the comments. I know I'm not the only one with war stories from retail. And here's a fun one. Guess what this woman does next? Does she storm out? Yell louder. Share your predictions below, because trust me, you won't see this coming. Sunnyvale Market's been my second home for years, and I've seen it all. Shoplifters, spilled milk, even a kid who tried to ride a shopping cart like a skateboard. But nothing prepared me for what was about to unfold. Lisa's face was pale, her hands gripping the scanner like a lifeline. The woman's coupons were scattered across the counter, and her cart sat there like a ticking time bomb. I quickened my pace, weaving past a display of discounted chips. My job's to keep the peace, protect my team, and make sure the store doesn't turn into a circus. But as I got closer, I realized this wasn't going to be a quick fix. This woman wasn't just upset, she was on a mission, and Lisa was in her crosshairs. The air felt heavier now, the usual supermarket buzz fading as more eyes turned toward Register 3. I could hear the woman's voice spiking, accusing Lisa of incompetence and ruining her day. Lisa stammered an apology, but it was like tossing water on a grease fire. I was almost there, ready to step in, when the woman slammed her hand on the counter, making the coupons flutter. "Get me your manager!" she barked, loud enough to rattle the glass doors at the entrance. That's my cue, I thought, straightening my name tag. But as I reached the register, I caught the glint in her eye, pure, unfiltered entitlement. This wasn't about coupons anymore. This was about power. Karen wasn't just upset about her coupons. She was on a mission to make everyone's day miserable. I reached Lisa's register just as the woman's voice hit a new octave, her blonde bob practically vibrating with rage. "This is a scam!" she shouted, jabbing a manicured finger at the stack of coupons on the counter. "You people are ripping me off, and I'm not leaving until I get my discounts." Lisa, bless her, stood frozen, her hands hovering over the scanner, her brown eyes wide with panic. The line behind Karen was growing, shoppers shifting uncomfortably, some craning their necks to see what the fuss was about. I took a deep breath, plastered on my best manager smile, and stepped into the fray. "Mom, I'm Mark, the assistant manager. Let's see if we can sort this out." My voice was calm, the kind I've honed over 20 years of diffusing retail tantrums. Karen turned her glare on me, her designer sunglasses slipping slightly on her head. She was in her mid-40s, yoga pants stretched tight, with an air of entitlement so thick you could slice it. Her cart was a monument to excess. Piles of frozen dinners, organic avocados, robot up close. Karen was every bit the stereotype I'd seen plastered across social media rants. She clutched her coupons like a weapon, waving them in my face. "Your cashier," she spat, pointing at Lisa's useless. "She says I can only use one of these per transaction." "That's absurd! I shop here all the time, and I've never heard of this nonsense." Lisa, still behind the counter, mumbled, "It's the new policy, Ma. I can split your purchase if you'd like." But Karen cut her off. "Don't you mom me? You're scamming customers, and I'm not falling for it." Her voice echoed through Sunnyvale Market, drowning out the usual hum of scanners and cart wheels. Shoppers in nearby aisles stopped pretending to browse, openly staring. A guy with a toddler in his cart muttered something about typical Karen behavior, and I had to bite back a smirk. He wasn't wrong. I kept my tone steady, channeling every ounce of patience I had. "I understand you're frustrated. The policy is one coupon per transaction, as posted at the registers. We can apply your best coupon now or do multiple transactions to use the others. What would you prefer?" It was a reasonable offer, the same one Lisa had made, but Karen wasn't here for reason. Frustrated, she snapped, her face flushing red. "I'm outraged! This is false advertising. I'm going to write a review that'll tank this dump." She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a venomous hiss. "And you, Mr. Manager, you're just covering for her incompetence." She jerked her thumb at Lisa, who looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole. I glanced at Lisa, her hands trembling slightly as she straightened the coupons on the counter. She didn't deserve this. Nobody did. "Mom," I said, keeping my voice firm but polite. "Lisa's following store policy. I'm happy to help you through this, but please lower your voice and let's keep this respectful." That was my first mistake. Karens don't do respectful. Respectful, she shrieked, loud enough to make a nearby kid cover his ears. "You're the ones disrespecting me! I'm a loyal customer!" "I spend hundreds here every month." She gestured at her overflowing cart, cans of sparkling water teetering on top of bags of frozen berries, as if it proved her point. "You're favoring this girl over me, and I won't stand for it." Her accusations were wild, but they hit Lisa hard. I saw her blink rapidly, fighting tears. The crowd was growing now, a mix of curious shoppers and annoyed regulars. An older woman with a basket of bananas whispered to her friend, "She's making a fool of herself." A teenager in a hoodie had his phone out, probably filming for some viral post on X. I couldn't blame him. This was prime content. But for me it was a headache that was about to get worse. "Mom," I tried again. "If you'd like, we can step to the customer service desk and go over your options." My goal was to get her away from Lisa and de-escalate before the whole store turned into a circus. But Karen was having none of it. "Customer service. So you can lie to me some more." She crossed her arms, her sunglasses now in her hand, waving like a prop. "I'm not going anywhere until you honor all my coupons. Or I'll make sure everyone knows what a scam this place is." She pointed at the teenager with the phone, as if daring him to keep recording. I felt my patience thinning, but I kept my cool. Retail's taught me to take a lot of punches, and I wasn't about to let this woman get under my skin. "I'm sorry you feel that way," I said, my voice steady. "The policy stands, but we're here to work with you. If you don't want to split the transactions, we can apply the highest value coupon and void the rest of the sale if you prefer." It was a last-ditch effort to give her an out without bending the rules. Karen's eyes narrowed, and for a split second, I thought she might actually consider it. But then she laughed, a sharp, bitter sound that made my stomach twist. "Void the sale. You think I'm here to waste my time?" She grabbed the edge of her cart, her knuckles white. "You're all incompetent, and this store's going to pay for it." The air in Sunnyvale Market felt charged, like the moment before a storm breaks. Lisa stepped back from the register, her face pale. The crowd was silent now, waiting for Karen's next move. I braced myself, my years of experience screaming that this wasn't going to end quietly. I've dealt with angry customers, sure, but the fire in Karen's eyes told me she was about to take this to a place I'd never seen before. Her hands tightened on the cart, and I had a sinking feeling that whatever happened next was going to be something I'd never expected from a customer. I've dealt with angry customers, but Karen's grocery dumping stunt was pure chaos. Her hands gripped the cart like she was about to ram it through the register, her face a mask of fury. The air in Sunnyvale Market was thick, the usual hum of scanners and chatter replaced by the tense silence of a crowd waiting for the next explosion. Lisa stood behind the counter, her eyes wide, clutching the edge of the scanner, like it was her only anchor. I was still trying to process Karen's threat to make this store pay when she made her move. "You think you can scam me?" she bellowed, her voice bouncing off the fluorescent lights. "You deserve to lose every customer you've got." With a dramatic heave, she yanked the cart sideways and tipped it over. Cans of sparkling water clattered to the floor. Avocados rolled under the register, and a jar of marinara sauce hit the tiles with a sickening crack. Red sauce splattered everywhere, spraying the hem of Karen's yoga pants and the shoes of a nearby shopper who yelped and jumped back. The crowd gasped, a collective intake of breath that seemed to suck the oxygen out of the room. Chaos erupted. Frozen pizzas slid across the aisle, a bag of frozen berries split open, and a tower of cereal boxes toppled into the mess. The marinara sauce oozed toward a display of paper towels, and the sharp tang of tomatoes mixed with the store's usual bread and cleaner scent. Shoppers froze, some pulling out phones to film, others backing away from the spreading disaster. A kid in a nearby cart started crying, his mom whispering, "It's okay, honey," while glaring daggers at Karen. Lisa was a statue, her face pale as the mess blocked the aisle, creating a safety hazard I could already see causing trouble. Her hands trembled, and I could tell she was seconds from breaking down. I wanted to send her to the break room, but I couldn't leave the scene, not yet. Karen stood over the wreckage, hands on her hips, smirking like she'd just won some twisted victory. "That's what you get for your stupid rules," she shouted, pointing at me. "Maybe now you'll listen to your customers. I've seen tantrums in my 20 years at Sunnyvale Market, but this was vandalism, plain and simple." My heart pounded, but I kept my voice steady, relying on the calm I'd honed through years of retail battles. "Mom, you need to stop. This is unacceptable, and you're creating a dangerous situation." I gestured at the shattered glass and slick sauce, now creeping toward an electrical outlet near the register. "You're putting everyone at risk." Karen laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "Risk? You're the ones risking my money with your scam policies." She pulled out her phone, aiming it at me like a weapon. "I'm filming this. You're harassing me, and I'm going to sue this store for everything it's got." Her voice was triumphant, as if she'd already won some imaginary lawsuit. The teenager with the hoodie, still recording, muttered, "Lady, you're the one trashing the place." A few shoppers nodded, but Karen was beyond reason. I took a step closer, keeping my hands visible to avoid escalating her accusations. "Mom, you're damaging store property and disrupting business. I'm asking you to leave, or I'll have to call security and the police." It wasn't a bluff. I'd already caught the eye of our security guard, Tom, who was weaving through the crowd from the back of the store. But Karen's smirk didn't waver. "Police? For what?" Defending my customer rights, she waved her phone at the crowd, now a mix of shocked regulars and gawkers. "You all saw this? They're scamming me, and now they're threatening me." A few shoppers shook their heads, one muttering, "Give it a rest, lady." But Karen was in her own world, filming Lisa, me, and the mess like it was evidence of her victimhood. Lisa's distress was palpable. She'd backed up against the cigarette display, her hands twisting together. I caught her eye and mouthed, "You're okay." But I knew she wasn't. This was her first real run in with someone like Karen, and it was hitting hard. I needed to get her out of here, but first I had to contain the situation. The mess was a hazard, glass shards glinted in the sauce, and a customer nearly slipped trying to edge past. I couldn't let this spiral further. "Lisa," I said, keeping my voice low but firm, "head to the break room. I've got this." She nodded, her eyes glistening, and slipped out from behind the counter, dodging a rogue avocado. I turned back to Karen, who was now narrating her video like a wannabe influencer. "This is Sunnyvale Market, where they cheat customers and harass them for standing up," she declared, panning across the wreckage. I stepped between her and the register, blocking her shot. "Mom, I've asked you to leave. You're causing a disturbance, and this stops now." My tone was sharp, the kind I reserve for shoplifters or drunkards. Tom arrived, his broad frame a quiet warning, and I nodded to him. "Call the police," I said, loud enough for Karen to hear. Her smirk faltered for a split second, but she doubled down. "Go ahead, call them. I'll tell them how you provoked me." She shoved her phone closer, her voice shrill. "You're done, manager. I'm going to ruin this place." The crowd was buzzing now, some filming, others whispering. An older man with a basket of apples called out, "Lady, you're the one breaking stuff. Chill out." A few people clapped, and Karen's face reddened. I stayed calm, but inside I was livid. This wasn't just about coupons anymore. It was about her need to dominate, to humiliate Lisa and me in front of everyone. The spilled sauce, the shattered glass, the terrified look on Lisa's face. It was all collateral damage in her ego trip. I'd seen entitled customers, but Karen's tantrum was a league of its own. As Tom spoke into his radio requesting police backup, I knew this was just the start. Things were about to get even messier, and Karen's smug grin told me she wasn't done yet. Karen's smirk vanished when the police arrived, and they knew my name. The air in Sunnyvale Market was still charged, the marinara sauce congealing on the floor, glass shards glinting under the fluorescent lights. Karen stood by her overturned cart, phone in hand, filming like she was directing her own martyr documentary. The crowd buzzed, a mix of shoppers filming, whispering, or just staring, while Tom, our security guard, kept watch near the register. Lisa was safe in the break room, but the mess in aisle 3 was a stark reminder of the chaos Karen had unleashed. I was trying to keep things under control when the store's sliding doors hissed open, and 2 officers stepped in. "Mark, good to see you," said Officer Daniels, a familiar face from community events like the town's annual food drive. His partner, Officer Ruiz, nodded, scanning the scene. Karen's eyes darted between them, her bravado flickering as she realized this wasn't going her way. I shook Daniel's hand, grateful for the backup, and pointed to the wreckage. "Thanks for coming. We've got a situation here. Vandalism, disorderly conduct, the works." Karen jumped in before I could finish. "Vandalism? You're the one scamming me?" she shrieked, waving her phone at the officers. "I'm filming this!" "You're harassing a paying customer." Her voice was losing its edge, though, and the crowd wasn't buying it. A woman with a cart full of diapers muttered, "Give it up, lady," and a few shoppers chuckled. Daniels raised an eyebrow unfazed and asked, "Mom, mind putting the phone down so we can talk?" She didn't. Instead, she doubled down, narrating to her imaginary audience. "This is Sunnyvale Market, where they call cops on loyal customers for standing up to their lies." Her yoga pants were still splattered with marinara, and her sunglasses hung crooked on her head, but she kept filming, defiant. I caught Ruiz exchanging a look with Daniels. They'd seen this type before. I took a deep breath and laid it out. "Officers, this customer was informed of our 1 coupon per transaction policy clearly posted at the registers. She refused to comply, insulted my cashier, and then dumped her cart in the aisle, breaking items and creating a safety hazard." I pointed to the shattered jar, the spilled sauce creeping toward an electrical outlet, and the scattered groceries blocking the aisle. "We've got security footage and customer videos confirming it." Daniels nodded, turning to the crowd. "Anyone here record what happened?" The teenager with the hoodie stepped forward, phone still in hand. "Got it all," he said, grinning. She flipped out and trashed the place. A few other shoppers offered their footage, and Ruiz started collecting names and clips. Karen's face paled, her phone dipping slightly as the reality hit. She wasn't the only one with a camera. "Those videos are lies," she snapped, but her voice cracked. "They provoked me. They're scamming customers and targeting me for complaining." She pointed at me, her finger trembling. "Has the one you should arrest for harassment." The crowd groaned, and an older man with a basket of apples called out, "Lighty, you threw a tantrum and broke stuff. Own it." The laughter that followed stung her, and her smirk was gone. Daniel stepped closer, his tone calm but firm. "Mom, based on what I'm hearing and seeing, you've caused a public disturbance and damaged property. That's disorderly conduct and vandalism. You need to come with us." Karen's eyes widened, and she clutched her phone like a shield. "Arrest me. For what? I'm the victim here." But the officers weren't swayed. Ruiz gently but firmly took her arm, guiding her toward the exit. "You're making a mistake!" Karen shouted, twisting to face the crowd. "I'll sue you all! This store, these cops, everyone." Her voice echoed as Daniels confiscated her phone for evidence, slipping it into a plastic bag. The crowd erupted in cheers, a wave of relief washing over the store. A vendor restocking soda clapped, and a cashier at register 5 gave me a thumbs up. Karen's cart sat abandoned, a monument to her meltdown, as she was escorted out in handcuffs. I turned to the mess, my heart still racing. The marinara had spread further, and a customer nearly slipped trying to pass. "Tom," I called, "cordon this off and get maintenance." He nodded, grabbing caution tape from the back, but before I could organize the cleanup, shoppers stepped in. The woman with the diapers grabbed a mop from a nearby bucket, saying, "You don't deserve this, Mark." The older man with the apples started picking up cans, and the teenager who'd filmed helped stack cereal boxes. Even the soda vendor pitched in, hauling debris to a cart. Their support hit me hard. After 20 years, I knew this town had my back. I checked on Lisa in the break room, finding her sipping water, her hands still shaky. "You okay?" I asked, sitting across from her. She nodded, managing a weak smile. I didn't expect that." I squeezed her shoulder. "You did great. This wasn't about you, it was her. We've got your back." She nodded again, stronger this time, and I knew she'd bounce back. Lisa was tough, even if she didn't know it yet. Back in the aisle, the cleanup was underway, the crowd's energy shifting from shock to camaraderie. Daniels returned after loading Karen into the squad car, updating me. "She's facing charges for disorderly conduct and vandalism. The footage and witness statements are solid. You'll need to file a report for damages. Clean up broken items, the works." I nodded, already tallying the cost, probably $500, maybe more. The safety risks, like the sauce near the outlet, made it serious. Karen wasn't just throwing a fit, she'd crossed a line. As the officers left, the store settled, but the buzz lingered. Shoppers swapped stories of their own, Karen, encounters, and I overheard the teenager say, "This is going viral, man." I shook my head, knowing he was right. Karen's tantrum was just the start. Things were about to get even messier. And I had a feeling the fallout would hit harder than her cart hitting the floor. Karen's meltdown didn't just make a mess. It sparked a movement. As the police cruiser pulled away with Karen in the back, Sunnyvale Market felt like it was catching its breath. The marinara sauce was mopped up, the shattered glass swept away, and the scattered groceries were back on shelves, thanks to the customers and vendors who jumped in to help. I stood by register 3, watching the store hum back to life, but I knew this wasn't over. Karen's tantrum had lit a fuse, and the explosion was about to go viral. By the next morning, the teenager's video was everywhere. Titled "Capon Karen Goes Nuclear," it racked up thousands of views on X, with hashtags like Capon Karen and Faye Retail Nightmares trending locally. Clips from other shoppers' phones surfaced too, showing Karen dumping her cart and screaming about customer rights. The internet did what it does best, it roasted her. Memes popped up. A marinara splattered Karen with captions like, "When your coupons don't work, but your ego does." Local news caught wind, and a reporter showed up at Sunnyvale Market, mic in hand, asking for my take. I kept it simple, standing in front of the store's bread display. "We're a community market," I said, "and we work hard to treat everyone fairly. What happened yesterday was unfortunate, but our team and customers pulled together. That's what matters." The reporter nodded, jotting notes, and aired a segment praising our resilience. The story spread, and by evening, Fen Support Sunnyvale was trending alongside Karen's infamy. X posts flooded in, some from folks who'd never set foot in our town but knew a Karen when they saw one. The community's response was overwhelming. Regulars like Mrs. Henderson, who always bought apples and gossip, organized a donation drive to cover cleanup costs. Estimated at $500 for the broken jar, spilled goods, and extra staff hours pork chop. Shoppers dropped off gift cards for Lisa, who was still shaken but back at her register, smiling through the encouragement. A group of volunteers, including the teenager who'd filmed, showed up to help restock shelves, cracking jokes about marinara mayhem. One vendor, a burly guy who delivered our sodas, slipped me a case of root beer. For the team's nerves. It was the kind of support that reminded me why I'd stayed in retail for 20 years. Karen, meanwhile, was sinking fast. The internet sleuths on X identified her as Karen Mitchell, a real estate agent at a local agency. Her face was plastered across posts, her yoga pants and sunglasses now infamous. Her employer didn't wait long. By noon, a statement on their website announced her termination, citing conduct incompatible with our values. Karen's social media didn't help her case. She posted a rambling defense, claiming the store provoked her and the police overreacted, but the comments were brutal. "Lady, you trashed a grocery store over coupons," one user wrote, racking up thousands of likes. Another quipped, "Marinara's not a personality trait." The pile-on was relentless and her accounts went private by nightfall. Legally, Karen was in hot water. Officer Daniels called to update me. She'd been charged with disorderly conduct, a misdemeanor that could carry a $300,000 fine or community service in our state, and vandalism for the cleanup costs and broken items. The store's security footage, combined with customer videos, was airtight evidence. "She's looking at restitution too," Daniels said. "Probably $500 to cover damages." I nodded, thinking of the sauce-slicked floor and the safety hazard near the outlet. Karen's tantrum wasn't just a spectacle, it was a costly one. The store didn't just survive, we thrived. The viral attention brought a surge of new customers, curious about the Karen store. Our registers were busier than ever, and I overheard shoppers saying, "If they can handle her, they can handle anything." We leaned into it, launching a "Respect Retail Workers" campaign with posters in the break room and a tip jar for staff at the front. Lisa, still rattled, found her footing with the support. One customer, a mom with a toddler, handed her a handwritten note. "You're tougher than Karen's cart. Keep shining." Lisa pinned it to her locker, a small badge of pride. I couldn't help but reflect on the bigger picture. Retail workers like Lisa and me deal with a lot. Long hours, tight margins, and customers who think they own us. Karen wasn't the first to treat us like punching bags, and she wouldn't be the last. But this time, the community pushed back. The donations, the volunteers, the ex-posts calling out her entitlement. It all showed that people valued us, not just as workers but as neighbors. It was a reminder that Sunnyvale Market wasn't just a store. It was a piece of this town's heart. Karen's downfall was satisfying, no question. Her firing, the charges, the internet's relentless mockery. It felt like justice for every cashier who'd been screamed at, every manager who'd cleaned up someone else's mess. But it was the community's response that stayed with me. The guy with the apples, who'd called Karen out mid-tantrum, came back with his wife, buying extra groceries to support the cause. The teenager who'd filmed stopped by to apologize for posting without asking, but I waved it off. "You told the truth," I said. "That's enough." As the week went on, the buzz around Fi Coupon Karen grew, but so did the support for our campaign. Ex-users shared stories of their own retail nightmares, tagging us in posts about standing up to entitled customers. A nearby supermarket reached out, asking to join our Respect Retail Workers push, and we started planning a regional effort. Karen's meltdown had done more than make her a meme. It had sparked a conversation about fairness, respect, and the people who keep stores like ours running. I stood in aisle 3 that evening, the floor spotless, the shelves restocked. The store was quieter now, the chaos a memory, but Karen's troubles were far from over. The community and courts had more in store, and I had a feeling her next chapter would be even less flattering. For us, though, this was a turning point. Sunnyvale Market was stronger than ever, and I knew we'd come out of this not just intact, but unstoppable. Karen learned the hard way. Entitlement doesn't beat the law. A week after her meltdown rocked Sunnyvale Market, she stood in a courtroom, her yoga pants and sunglasses replaced by a stiff blazer and a nervous grimace. The judge didn't mince words. Karen pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct and vandalism, landing a $1,000 fine, $500 in restitution to cover our cleanup costs, and 50 hours of community service at a local food bank. An ironic twist for someone who'd trashed a grocery aisle. The final blow. A lifetime ban from Sunnyvale Market, signed by our regional manager. As I heard the news from Officer Daniels, I pictured Karen hauling cans of soup for the food bank, her smirk long gone. Justice felt good. The courtroom drama was the final nail in Karen's coffin, but Sunnyvale Market was already rising from the ashes. The viral storm of fifth coupon Karen had brought a flood of new customers, their curiosity turning into loyalty as they saw our team's grit. We didn't just recover, we reinvented ourselves. New policies rolled out, enhanced staff training on handling entitled customers, de-escalation workshops led by a retired cop, and additional security cameras to catch every angle of any future chaos. Our registers hummed, and the parking lot was packed, a testament to the community's support. The Respect Retail Workers campaign we'd launched gained traction, with posters now hanging in stores across town and a hashtag of its own trending on X. Lisa was back at Register 3, her smile steadier now. The notes and gift cards from customers had bolstered her confidence, and she'd even started training a new cashier, passing on her hard-earned calm under pressure. One afternoon, she caught me restocking coffee in aisle 7 and grinned. "I'm not letting another Karen ruin my day," she said, her voice firm. I nodded, proud. She was tougher than she'd been a week ago, and so were we all. Reflecting on it now, I see the bigger picture. I've spent 20 years in retail, managing crises from shoplifters to power outages, but Karen's tantrum was a wake-up call. It wasn't just about one woman's ego. It was about what we stand for. Retail workers like Lisa and me aren't just cogs in a machine, we're the glue holding places like Sunnyvale Market together. We deal with long hours, tight budgets, and customers who think a coupon is a crown. But we also see the best in people: the mom who mopped marinara, the teenager who shared his video, the vendor who slipped us root beer. Karen's outburst showed the worst of entitlement, but the community's response showed the best of humanity. The moral here isn't complicated. Entitlement doesn't win. Not against fairness, not against a town that rallies for its own. Karen thought she could bully her way to victory, but she underestimated us. She didn't just lose her job and her dignity, she became a cautionary tale, a meme that'll outlive her real estate career. Meanwhile, Sunnyvale Market stands stronger, a symbol of what happens when people choose respect over rage. It's a lesson I hope resonates, especially with folks who've ever felt tempted to unleash their inner Karen at a cashier or a waiter. We're all in this together, and a little decency goes a long way. The aftermath wasn't just about us, though. The Respect Retail Workers campaign spread, with stores as far as the next county joining in. Posts poured in, sharing stories of cashiers standing up to bullies or managers backing their teams. One user wrote, "Sunnyvale Market showed us how to handle a Karen and build something better." Respect. It was humbling to see our little store spark a movement, proof that even a disaster can plant seeds for change. I started getting calls from other managers, asking how we'd turned a PR nightmare into a triumph. My answer was simple: lean on your people, they'll surprise you. Karen's shadow lingered in small ways. A few ex-users kept the "Why Coupon Karen" memes alive, remixing her rant into dance tracks or cartoon sketches. Local kids started calling marinara Karen sauce, and I couldn't help but laugh when I overheard it in aisle 3. But her real legacy was the food bank service. 50 hours of sorting cans, a fitting end for someone who'd scattered them in a fit of pique. I didn't wish her ill, but I hope she'd learn something, maybe even find a shred of humility among the soup cans. For me, the heart of this story is the community. After 20 years, I know Sunnyvale's pulse, its quirks, its gossip, its grit. When Karen tried to tear us down, the town built us up. Mrs. Henderson's donation drive, the teenager's apology for his viral post, the vendor's root beer. It all added up to something bigger than a trashed aisle. It was a reminder that respect isn't just a word on a poster, it's the way we show up for each other. That's what I'll carry forward, long after the memes fade. So, if you're reading this, let me hit you with a call to action. Loved this story? Share it with your friends, drop a comment about your own retail war stories, and let me know where you're reading from, your couch, your office, or maybe aisle 7 of your local store. If you're as fired up as we are, spread the word about respecting retail workers. Tag us on X with #respect retail workers, and let's keep this movement growing. And don't forget to swing by Sunnyvale Market if you're ever in town. We'll save you a jar of Karen sauce. In a store full of people just trying to do their jobs, one Karen's tantrum only made us stronger. I stood in the break room that evening, sipping that vendor's root beer, and looked at my team. Lisa laughing with a coworker, Tom joking about needing hazard pay, and new faces learning the ropes. We'd faced the worst and come out better. That's not just a win, it's a legacy. Karen's fines and food bank hours were her punishment, but our triumph was the real story. A story of fairness, community, and the kind of strength that no tantrum can break.